Hello everybody, welcome to Erndales. My name is Dale. I'm so happy to have you join me today. I am going to show you in a few minutes what I've been up to this week, but I'm just going to talk about this first. Gary has been painting the walls down in the hallway that I wanted to put this into. So this week I will be getting this completed, the stitching done I wanted to do along here. I'll get that done and it'll be hung up downstairs next time you see it. For sure, it will be. Now that that wall's painted, it's going to be moving. So today I'm bringing you a project that I don't know. It's something that I used to do, but I'm doing it in a totally different way, and it's actually quite fun. About 2 years ago, I was putting together little scraps of fabric, which I have boxes and boxes and boxes of. For some reason, I can't get rid of them, and I decided to start sewing them all together, and I was making this bright piece of fabric that I was going to maybe make a quilt out of. Well, I'm not into bright colors. I would never use a quilt like that. And then I decided, well, I'll make for children. So at that time, there was 2 new babies in our family, a little boy and a little girl, and I thought I would make 2 quilts, one really bright for the boy and maybe a pastel-y one for the little girl. Well, those patches are still sitting in the drawer over there, and when I did my cleanup here, I came across them, and again, I was kind of kicking myself that there was another project in the drawer that I wasn't working on. So I closed the drawer, I left them be like I do, and forgot about them. And then a couple of days ago, I was making my bed, and a light bulb went on, and I got an idea. So that's what this video is about. And I've already started another video about the progress of this video. Does this all make sense to you? Because it certainly doesn't make any sense to me, because I'm just blowing through this project. I love it so much. So you're going to watch this one, and I'm going to go over and make another video, continue on the next video on what I'm doing. So that's all I'm going to say, because I'm going to explain it all in just a second. Enjoy. When I was doing my little cleanup of my studio, in one of those drawers, storage drawers, I come across these patches that I had made. I've been working on these off and on for a while, but there's all kinds of them, and I was going to make a quilt for a child out of them. And you know, like I've said before, I'm not really a quilter. I do some quilts, but I'm not fond of doing quilts. It's not my thing. And chances are I'm not going to be doing quilts out of all this. And there's a lot here. Look at all of this. So I've decided this morning when I was making my bed, a thought came to me as to what I could do with these patches. Just popped in my head. Just boom, boom. There it was. I'll tell you what I'm going to make. I'll show you what I'm going to make. So this is Pookie. Pookie sits on our bed after it's made, and I made this bear 30 years ago, maybe more than that. And I actually made quite a few of these. I made one for Jonathan, and it was made out of cotton. It had, like, the background was navy blue, and it had all colors of flowers, daisies and things all over it. And I made him that bear when he was maybe about 3, I think. He named it Gary after his dad. And Gary went everywhere with that child. He was so attached to it. And Jonathan had quite a few surgeries when he was small. Gary always went to the hospital with him. The nurses always let him take Gary to the OR, but the minute he was asleep, they put him underneath the trolley. And so when when Jonathan woke up from his surgery, Gary was in his arms again in recovery, and he was always under the impression that Gary had an operation too. Gary had as many wristbands as Jonathan did. They always put a wristband on, and you know, whatever they were doing to Jonathan, they did to Gary. So it was all fine for him. And over the years, he was his best friend. You know, like I said, he wouldn't go anywhere without Gary. He wore that bear out. I don't know how many times I patched him, and finally we lost an ear somewhere. So then we were calling him Gary the One-Eared Bear. And I actually wrote a poem about Gary, and I'll read that to you a little bit later. But yeah, finally Gary had to go in the trash because I couldn't patch the bear anymore. And it was a sad day in our house, let me tell you. So when I was making the bed this morning, I thought about all those patches, and I thought, okay, I know now what I'm going to do with them. So I have to find the pattern first. So I'm going to just set these aside. I'll go through them and organize them in some sort of girl versus boy, because I've got a boy and a girl that I can make bears for gifts. I'm just going to pop you up a little bit here. And I'm going to look for the pattern. I found Pookie. I got the pattern here. But I also found a few other things that I completely forgotten about. One is a car pattern. This is a pattern that my mom used to make for her grandsons. It's a car pillow, and it's a Volkswagen bug, a Volkswagen Beetle bug pattern. It's a great pattern, and I'd forgotten all about this. She used to make this for any boy that she knew, pretty much, and it's a great pattern. I should make this. I've got some great nephews who would probably love this. Even my brother had one on his bed, and she made them out of fantasy fur, you know, the fake fur stuff. But you could make this out of fabric very easily. It's quite a large pillow, but it's in the shape of a Volkswagen Beetle, and you can accent it. You know, it actually has a door, and it has a windshield and everything. It's really a cute pattern. I might make this for one of the boys for Christmas. That would be an awesome thing to do. I also found a pattern that I have been looking for a long time. Years ago, I used to collect a Santa magazine. I can't remember who put this magazine out, but it was only Santas in this magazine, and I got one every year. It was a special edition of some kind. And they always had they were collector Santas, and there was a bunch of, you know, fantastic sculpted Santas and every kind of Santa, but they also had patterns for the smaller ones that you could make yourself, and the patterns were always in the book. And so I made, almost every year I made a Santa out of one of them. And actually I did do another one here on my video a few years ago. I did Woodland Santa, I think. Look back, maybe if I find it, I'll put the end card up here. But there was one that I made several times, and I made one for myself and I made one for other people. And he had, the one that I have every year sits on my piano. You might have seen it in my Vlogmas. He sits on the top of my piano, and he's got long legs that hang down. And I was looking for the pattern. I went through all my Santa books, and I couldn't find it anywhere. Well, I found it, and I'm so excited because I want to make this. I wanted to make this for Jonathan, one of these, because he always liked it. When we lived in Winnipeg, the house that we had, which is now Jonathan's house, he bought it from us, it has piano windows, and they're way up high. They're not very big, but there's a big ledge, and I used to sit, at that time when we lived in there, I always sat Santa up in the piano window, and his legs kind of hung down the wall. And Jonathan talked about that for a long time, so I was going to make him one, but I couldn't find the pattern. And I found it now. So there's another thing. Here's his leg. Look at how long his leg is. And it's a super easy Santa to make because this is the body. The body is just one little piece, and then you make this coat, and his coat is what forms his body. So it's not a lot of stuffing and things like that. All this stuff is this and his legs. The rest is just kind of sculptured with fabric, like there's a coat with a hood, and then you adorn him with things. I always put, he's got a bag of toys that he carries over his shoulder, and here's his little tree. This is a great pattern. I'm so happy that I found this. So there, I'm going to have to get busy and make some early Christmas gifts. And I like doing that, you know. I like to start my Christmas making early. That way by Christmas, by November, I'm all done. So that's another thing that I found, which I'm so happy about. Sorry for the crinkling. And another thing that I found is a bunch of tiny little bears. They're felt bears. And I used to make these for kids at Christmas time, and I pop them in their stockings, you know. These are all really small bears. Where's the really small one? There's a really tiny one. Where's the smallest one? I think it's this one here. Look at how small that is. I'll show you the body of it so you can see how small it is. And actually, I've got one. There, that's how small he is. And I'm going to go and get him. I've got one. I can show you how little they are. I thought it was up here, but it must be downstairs with the doll somewhere. But these are so cute. And you just hand sew them with felt. You can make several in an evening. They're so cute. And then there's another one, a little bit bigger. This one stands. And here's another one. And here's another one. And here's another one. They're all different, but they're all made with felt. And this one's called a pocket bear. So a child can put it in their pocket. And then there's another thing that's in here, and this is a stocking. It's actually an ornament. So it's a Christmas stocking, and then there's a bear that you make that peeks out of it. And it's a really cute little ornament. So I might make some of these too for Christmas gifts, because for little kids, because they really love these little bears that they can hold in their hand. Children love little things. So I'm really happy I found this, because I've forgotten all about these. And there's also a mice family. I have the patterns for that too. I used to make a lot of mice family, because some people actually collect mice, believe it or not. But yeah, these little bears, and I used to make them by the dozens, and I sold them at my craft sales, and they just disappeared. They were one of the first things to go. So I was happy to find that. And I found Paddington Bear. I've had this pattern for years, and I mean years. I bet you I've had this pattern for 40 years. I've never ever made it. And we all know who Paddington Bear is. I should make it. I might make it. But first I got to do Pookie. So looking for one thing, and found a whole bunch of other things that I have forgotten about, and now have kind of spurred my interest to make something else. But for right now, we're going to do Pookie. So I've got a boy and a girl that, they're both the same age. They're going to be 3 in fall, in October. So I thought I would go through all of this stuff and pick out colors that are suitable for boys and girls. And I know that there are some that are more girl, and some that are more boy. So I'm just going to sort through them a little bit. And some can be either or. There's some obvious pinky ones for girls. But girls don't always need pinky ones. They can have, like, oh, that's a cute one. And I'm just gonna mix this all up, really. I'm not going to be, I don't really care if it's got a million colors to it. There's another nice one. I think all the girls' ones are on the top here. But I think this is going to be kind of a fun project. And then what I'm going to do is, once I get the pieces cut out, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some slow stitching on top. And that will actually just kind of give it a bigger rag look. Excuse my arm. Yeah, this is going to be cute. Very cute. See, I had this all planned out for quilts, but like I said, I'm not really crazy about making a quilt. I've moved on to other things. I find that I really enjoy doing more stitching now and less sewing. If I sew, I think I'm going to be sewing by hand. I really enjoy that. So here's some boy stuff. Here's more boy stuff. And yeah, I think I'm just going to stick to what I feel like doing now. I'm going to try not to get caught up in all the things that you can see that might look kind of fun to try and do. I used to really get caught up in that stuff, but I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just going to do what I want to do. Things that make me happy. So, I think I've got enough here to make several bears, but I just want to make 2. So, I'm not going to get crazy about all this. There are some really nice pieces in here, though. Okay, well, I've got enough. I'm pretty sure that I could make bears out of all this. So, let's do the girl first. Oops. I just knocked some patterns on the floor. So, head first. I need 2. For the head, I might try and get it a little bit similar. That piece has a thing on it. Ooh, I like that. Oh, it's not big enough. I might have to sew a couple of these together for the head. Well, right off the bat, I'm making too much decision, aren't I? Some of these are just not quite big enough. There's one. That'll do for one. And that's got pastels, so I'd like to keep it pastels for the other side. How about this? Yeah, that might do. Now this might take me a while. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off and I'm going to cut all of this out, and then I will show you what I've got done. When you're cutting your pieces individually instead of with two pieces of fabric right side together, you have to remember you can cut one with your pattern the right way. The other one you have to flip your pattern over so that you have your right sides together in the end, like so. So I've cut one like this because I'm cutting them individually. So I cut one like this, and this one I'm cutting with my pattern flipped over so that when I go to sew them together, they will be right sides together. Just have to remember to do that. It's really important. Otherwise, you're going to have both your patterns, both your pieces are going to be going in the same direction, and you don't want that. One has to go one way and the other one has to go the other way, so that when you put them together, you've got your right sides together. Ask me how I know this. I don't know what's the matter with my scissors, but they're really chewing my fabric up here. I just noticed this. Okay, I'm going to cut this one out now. I just embroidered the eyes on these. I don't use, I mean, I have used the bear eyes and nose and things like that before, but on this one I don't. I just embroider it. And I like bears that have nice big eyes. The bigger the better. They look cuter with a bigger eye. I don't like beady-eyed bears. Okay, so now I'm just going to do my markings here. So just mark the tip of the nose, because that's where you're going to join them together. And I'm going to mark the eye placement right here. I'm just using one of these heat things. And then I'm going to mark, there's a dart in the neck, so I'm going to mark the dart. And the top of the dart is right there. And then those two pieces are ready. See, so now when I put them together, the right sides are together. I'm just going to pin those two together with a regular pin, and the head is cut. Okay, now I'm going to put that away somewhere safe where I won't lose it. So next I'm going to do the body, and same thing when I'm cutting the body. If you have to cut two, you cut one this way and then you cut the other one this way. Make sure I pull all this out properly so I get the proper shape. So this one is a cut two, and there should be another body somewhere here. Tell me I've lost something already. Oh yeah, here we go. And that's the back, and this is the front, and this is a cut two. So, I'm just gonna, sorry about the crinkling. Get this all unfolded here. So, let's look at body parts. So let's do the front first. You want the fronts to sort of be the same colors, maybe, or not. That's not going to be long enough. That's kind of got a funny, it's not very straight. That's not long enough. And that's not long enough. I might have to sew a few of these together. Okay, let's see about this. Where's my front? Oh, I got this piece here too. Oh yeah, let's try this. This one. So I've spent my day fooling around cutting out pieces for the little girl bear that I'm going to do. So here are the two head pieces and the ears, and then the two front pieces. And I'm putting this little piece on. I'm going to stitch this on. Excuse my nose, I just sneezed. Today you are you. That is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you. So this is the two front pieces. I haven't cut the back pieces yet. And the arms, I've cut the tops of the arms and the pad for the bottom, but I haven't cut the bottom arm, which is a half arm. And here's the other one. A little magic can take you a long way, so that's going to be on the top of the arm. And then I've cut, excuse my squeaky floor, I've cut two legs. This is one. It's got a lamb on it. That's been stitched by me. And this is the other, and now I have to cut the other side. I haven't done that. And here's the toe part. And I've got the gusset for the top of the head. I just made it in one piece. I didn't make it in a bunch of colors. And then I'm going to add a few things, like, for instance, I'm going to cut this out, really fussy cut it out. This is a piece that my mom did on a doily. And because these children would be, now let me see, my mom's great-grandchildren, I'm going to put some of her stuff on here. So I might put this bird on the cheek somehow. I'm going to add different elements to this, but I am going to do some stitching on here. I'm going to do some slow stitching just with, I think I'm just going to, on this one, I think I'm just going to use like an ivory thread. I'm not going to use a bunch of different colors, and I'll just do some straight stitches, or yeah, just some straight stitches. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I won't know until I start. So that's what I've been doing today. It's almost ready. I can start stitching, and I think maybe tomorrow I might start stitching on this. I'll start with the head, and I'll put the eyes on because I'm going to embroider those. And I might just do some stitching around. I might put this on one of the cheeks of the bear. And I'll do some stitching on the parts that I have here. And then I'll start putting it together. I don't imagine I'm going to have this finished for a while, because I want to do a lot of stitching on it. So, and I'm going to do it all by hand. So that's what I've been playing with today. And I've had a lot of fun playing with this. And I did find the little bear that I was telling you about. Excuse my arm. Here he is. And he's not jointed per se, but he does move because I've got buttons on him. Now, if I was using this for a small child, this one was just for me, I wouldn't put buttons on. I would just stitch it right through. So the legs would still move, but there would be no buttons. And there would be no beads for the eyes either. I would just embroider that on. So I think I might make a bear for the bear, a little bear for the big bear. So yeah, this has been kind of a fun day. Now, today we've had a monstrous storm come up from the Dakotas, and it started with rain, and we got snow. I'm not kidding. It's the 24th of May. We got snow, but I'm just telling you about it. I'm not going to show you anything until the next gardening video, because I'll follow what I started doing with my garden. I'll follow it with the snow. So you have that to look forward to. So I told you that I had made a Pookie Bear like this for my son Jonathan when he was little. And he called the bear Gary. And I wrote a poem about Gary for Jonathan. So I'm going to read that poem to you now. And I hope that you enjoy that. So here's the poem, Gary the One-Eared Bear. I wrote this for Jonathan in 1994, I think. Gary the One-Eared Bear. Gary was a one-eared bear my mama made for me. I found him sitting by our tree the Christmas I turned 3. The day I first set eyes on him, he had 2 ears like me, and he was oh so colorful, as bright as he could be. Bright blue cloth with daisies on was what his skin was like. Different than any bear I'd seen, I loved him at first sight. I picked him up and hugged him close, and knew just right away that he would be my best friend forever and a day. He was always there with me in everything I do. When I was sick or sad or hurt, he'd feel those same things too. One day, while we were playing cars, poor Gary started to cry. And when I glanced at him real close, I saw the reason why. There, hanging crooked from his head, one ear hung by a thread. The sight of that poor broken ear just filled my heart with dread. I picked him up and wiped his tears and told him, "It's okay. Our mom will fix your ear for you, then we'll get back to play." But Mom was busy and didn't have time to fix poor Gary's ear. Instead of minutes it might have took, we've waited now for years. Well, now I'm 10, I'm almost grown, and Gary's still my friend. And though he mostly stays at home, at times we still pretend. Of course, I'd never tell a soul, especially at my school, about my bright blue earless bear. They'd think I was a fool. I think I'll keep him as he is. He looks all right to me. He wouldn't be a one-eared bear if 2 ears on him I'd see. The end. So it's been a very, very lovely day. I'm getting tired. It's almost 11 o'clock at night. So I wish you all sweet dreams, and I will continue this bear subject in the days to come. But until then, thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you real soon. Bye for now.